do what you gotta do. And he texted me this morning to say, hang in there. I've also heard from President Martin, same thing. They've had to live through it. So President Bruce's last action as president in 2015 was to let 9 people go. Then 3 years into my presidency in 2018, we had to let 9 people go. In 2020, during COVID, we had to let 3 people go. And now here we are in 2023. We're letting no people go. Okay? So here's why we had to make some budget adjustments. Some of this is stuff that you've probably never heard before, and it might be more than you want to know. 15 years ago, Bethany received every year $4 million more in donations than we do today. Think about 15 years ago, you were alive, barely, you were kids, and inflation was a lot different then, so $4 million more went a lot farther than it does today. Bethany was also probably half the size it is today. So they were bringing in a lot of money. Today we don't have that $4 million extra. We haven't had that since President Bruce's time. So now I can start to explain to you 10 years ago, and I looked it up, Bethany had a reserve fund, a rainy day fund, a savings account. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Money where if we ever have a bad year and we don't have a balanced budget, here's where we can get resources from to balance the budget. So 10 years ago, Bethany had a reserve fund of $5 million. That was extra money that we didn't need. So as we're bringing in an extra $4 million of donations every year, we didn't need it. So we would put it in reserves. So we had, even 10 years ago, $5 million, probably was even more than that. Today, the reserve fund is 0. There isn't. So 10 years ago, we had $5 million in reserves. Today, we have 0. Doing the math, that means we've been overspending our budget on average about $500,000 a year. We were bringing in enough revenue to cover all the great things we were doing. So every year we'd have an unbalanced budget, and the board every year would pass an unbalanced budget because we all want to keep doing the great stuff we're doing, right? We love what we're doing. And so where would the money come from? Well, we'll take it out of reserves. Well, that game is over. We're out. What do you do? So a year ago, the Board of Regents knew where this was going. And so they passed a motion asking administration, me, and my cabinet to do a 1-year study. So this was authorized in October of 2022. A year later, here we are, November of 2023. And they said do a 1-year study, and you have got to figure out how to have a balanced budget every year for the next 5 years, because we don't have any extra money. So we're short of $500,000 every year, and there's this thing called inflation that's making it worse, and so things have to happen. So we put together, my administrative team and I, put together a plan. We actually we presented, so the regent said, your assignment is show us for the next 5 years, show us a budget every year that is 0 at the end. You're balanced. You don't, because we don't have any reserves left. So we did that. We got an A for the assignment. We passed. it could have been a lot worse. So we presented to them 3 budget plans. One was a cut every possible thing we could cut. All right? That budget actually doesn't work over 5 years. Because if you cut a lot of things, guess what? You're going to lose a lot of enrollment, right? And in the end, you don't have enough tuition revenue to keep going what you got going. So over 5 years, that budget didn't work. The region saw that. Obviously, they didn't pick option 1. Option 2 was do nothing. Let's just see what happens. Obviously, that budget doesn't work either. So option 3 was do a combination of a lot of strategies to try to continue to grow enrollment like we have been, to try to find new sources of revenue, new areas for donations. We think one of the reasons we're growing is because we're a place-centered network, and a lot of people are appreciating that. So let's put out some new marketing tools, wording, to try to help more people to realize that Bethany is a great Christ-centered school. And so we put out some new messaging to try to attract more students. So we have like 6 different strategies that we told the board we'd like to try. 5 of the 6 are ways to grow more revenue. One of the ways is we have to make some strategic budget adjustments. So the budget adjustments do not cover the $500,000 a year that we have over budgeting, overspending. About half. So we're hoping all the other strategies will cover the remaining gap. Okay? So that's why I said it could have been a lot worse. So they did a lot of, let's try new strategies, but we do have to make some budget adjustments. So that's the long and short of what happened, or why adjustments needed to happen. So you saw the letter that went out, and it explained to you what adjustments we had to make. I will go through them again, just in case you haven't seen the letter yet.